Welcome to The Queen's Lair, a lifestyle podcast. Get inspired by our latest tips and information about small business, entrepreneurship, natural hair, travel, food, and even relationships. Stay tuned for another great episode. I am your host, Renee Patrice. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast once again. We are still running this Elevate Entrepreneur series where I interview someone who is an entrepreneur who is out there in the market. They're doing the thing. So now we have a really special guest today because a lot of you have asked me a lot of financial questions and I can answer some things, but I had to bring somebody on that could really give you the 411 on this credit game, because it is a game, and anything financially related. So I want to welcome to the podcast Ivan Brown, known as the Credit Wealth Pro. Welcome to the Queen's Lair. How are you?
I'm doing great, Renee. How are you?
I am fine. I want you to tell people a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into some of these burning questions that I get all the time from folks. So give us a little background on you and what you do.
Okay, you got it. But first I want to say just thank you for having me on the show, and I'm very honored to be a guest on here today. So absolutely. Again, my name is Ivan Brown. Like Renee said, I'm Ivan Brown. I'm the Credit Wealth Pro. And I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area. I'm currently now located in the Northwest Georgia, Chattanooga, Tennessee area. And I have a company called Credit Wealth Pro. And what I like to do with Credit Wealth Pro is, of course, it was kind of an evolution process. I started off in the, just doing credit repair and that type of thing. And I did that because I had bad credit. I started off having good credit. I once had an 800 score. And then I was a real estate investor, and I had two foreclosures hit my credit simultaneously at the same time. And what that did, it took my score down 300 points, Renee, in about 45 days. And so imagine going from a 815 score to a 515 score. And so I said, you know what? I was under the old paradigm of thinking. I was not credit educated. I didn't have a lot of financial literacy at that time, even though I had great credit. So I figured that if I go pay off all my bills, that'll solve the problem. Because credit is about paying your bills. So if I go pay off all my bills, then that's going to solve the problem. When paid off all my bills, my score went down to a 485. So
wow.
That was a wake-up call. And so I said, obviously there's something that I'm missing. So really, I went practically on a 9-year journey to recover my credit score. And it wasn't until I truly got credit educated is when I was able to understand the rules of the game. Because like you said, it is a game. I was able to understand the rules, and then I applied them too. Say that again.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. Mm-hmm.
Yes. A lot of us have. A lot of us learned the hard way. And there's so many myths there about credit, and so I'll get into some of those later on in the interview. But I was under those myths, and so when you imagine playing, gosh, can you imagine playing Monopoly or Uno and not knowing the rules, playing against somebody who knows the rules? Or,
right.
And I'm not a big chess guy, so I don't really know the rules up and down of chess. Can you imagine me playing against a person who's been playing chess since they're 3 years old and trying to beat them, without knowing the rules? And so that's how it is with a lot of us with credit. We just don't know the rules. We know things that good, well-intended people have told us. Maybe mom, dad, grandma. I told you, stay away from those credit cards. Pay your bills on time. And they meant well. And you should pay your bills on time. That's what responsible people do. But it's not how you master credit. And we were never taught that in school or at home or anything like that.
And I truly believe that should be mandatory in school, because I came from an old school West Indian family, and neither of my parents really understood the finance credit game here in this country when they first came here in the 70s. So my mom started learning it and was like, whoa, because my dad was like, he didn't have any credit cards. He didn't want any type of credit. That's all he heard, it was bad. And my mom started to learn, and she was like, oh no, I have to put his name up. He's got to get some credit, because we've always been taught, and you can tell us if this is true, that not having credit is just as bad as having bad credit. Is that really true?
Very close. It's not quite as bad. In reference to when you're trying to get credit, it's easier to overcome no credit than it is to overcome bad credit. But not having any credit is just as impactful or detrimental when you're trying to apply for loans like a home loan, a car loan, or business funding, especially when you're trying to get funding for a business, or just when you need to get a loan from a bank or something like that. So, not having any credit is very close to as bad as having bad credit. The only slight difference is it's easier to overcome no credit than it is to overcome bad credit.
So let's get into some of these questions, and these are regular things that people will ask of me.
Absolutely, I'm ready.
What's considered a good credit score?
What's considered a good credit score would be anything above 680. 680 is considered a good credit score. Anything below, like if you're talking maybe 640 to 680, that's kind of considered fair. But anything above 680 and into the 700s is considered good credit, and then excellent credit is considered 750 and above.
Okay, so folks, you hear that? Thank God, I'm somewhere in there. So good.
Okay.
All right. So
now, of course, when you Google, you're going to hear about 50 different opinions. But I'm just telling you in terms of fundability, or when you want to get funding for things and you want to leverage your credit, 750 is really a great score to where people will practically hand you anything at a 750.
Okay, so that kind of goes into the next question, like what credit score is needed to buy a house? Is it different if you're a first-time home buyer? Because I know credit was a major thing when I was buying my first piece of property. So renting an apartment, like what are the general things that they're looking for?
Okay, that's a very good question, because a lot of times people think credit score, and credit score is actually, this is going to shock a lot of people, Renee. Credit score is not the proper measurement of your credit health, of how healthy your credit is. The health in the mix of your credit report is the better measurement. It's like a doctor. You work for this or human health. It works from the inside out. How healthy your credit is in terms of your payment history, your credit card utilization, your derogatory remarks, collections, hard inquiries, your credit health, and getting that fixed or organized or situated is a lot more important than just a credit score alone, because a lot of people can go and manipulate a credit score, and you can go get on somebody's account as an authorized user, and your score will jump up tremendously for a short period of time, and you may be able to grab a quick car or something like that from it. But when you want to go to buy a house, and when you want to go get a loan from the bank, you're going to have to go through what they call underwriting, and trying to get through underwriting with a manipulated score is a very, very tough thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. I always have folks that they've been renting and they want to buy a home, and I've said, listen, when you get done with the paperwork with buying a property, you feel like you told all your business. Like, it's impossible. Money can't even move around in your account, too much, and you gotta be doing this from a little time back too. It can't just be like the last 30 days, So
right.
I definitely learned I learned a lot about that when buying a home. So can you give us, and this is something that I always see all the time that people always ask, is what are some quick tips to raise your credit score? Or things that you can do? Because I think for me, one of the main culprits that I had coming out of college, because all the credit card companies come up to the school and get you to sign for cards. And one main thing, that's where I got all my credit cards. One thing that I suffered from tremendously, and I did not know how it really affected my score, was credit utilization. So can you kind of explain that and how that rises and lowers your credit score?
I'd be glad to. Credit utilization is one of those. It's really not. It's not a complicated matter. It's very simple, but it is kind of tricky in the sense where because how we were taught and how we grew up. And I went to Howard University, and day one from freshman year, there were credit card companies outside of our dorm when we were moving in freshman year there to sign us up for the cards. And there was a Pentagon City Mall right down the street from Howard University, so we would jump on.
I used to go to Pentagon City all the time.
So we get those credit cards. Imagine being 18 now, and somebody's handing you what we thought was free money. And so we grabbed those credit cards, strolled on down to that mall, went to Macy's, Bloomingdale, Saks Fifth Avenue, and charged up. Because Howard, you had to look fly to a Howard University. You had to be fly. You had to have your gear right. So we took those little cards of plastic and swiped them left and right. And thinking, there was not understanding the repercussions that it would have on us later on. And then you fast forward 4 to 5 years later, you have a bunch of credit card debt and student loan debt that you're now trapped in. Now let me get to your question about the quick tips. Some very quick tips to raise your score a lot of times is lowering your credit utilization. And so there's 2 ways to do that. The first way is to pay off your credit card debt as low as you can. The sweet spot is to keep your credit utilization at about 9%, right? Anywhere under 10%. 2 to 9% is the sweet spot. And what do I mean by that? I mean that how much credit you're extended versus how much you're currently using right now, that is the percentage that they go by. And I just recently saw a case with a client. They had $200 worth of credit card utilization, credit card limit. They were using about 150 of them, which put them close to 75% or so. I'm not quite sure on the math, but close to 75% of the credit card utilization. If they literally would just pay $100 down, their score would jump up tremendously because it would put the credit card utilization well under 30%. And if they just went ahead and paid it off or left maybe 2% on the card, their score would jump up. And think about it, $150 against a $200 credit line, that's not a lot of money to factor in to raise your score. But a lot of people just let it sit there because they don't understand the power of utilization and how much it impacts the score. So that's one way to do it, Renee. Another way is to add to the total, because let's take that same example. You have $150 against a $200 limit. If you went and added an account that maybe extended you a $10,000 credit limit. I'm not talking about using the $10,000. I'm just talking about the reporting credit limit. You now have $150 against a $10,200 credit limit, which probably brings you down to around 2 to 1% utilization just by adding that one account. And there are a lot of credit builder accounts out there that can really help people out a lot. Even with people with bad credit, there are credit builder accounts that they can put on their credit report that'll report positively and report large amounts of credit limit that can really help boost their scores very quickly.
Wow. Okay. So that's definitely people. Y'all listen to this. The utilization. I learned the hard way about that. So I know personally, I know how that had affected me, and I'm like a czar now with my credit cards, really trying to get all this credit utilization down. Okay. So now here is this one, you gotta school us on this. Should you pay off an old or overdue debt or let it fall off of your credit report?
That is a layered question, and the answer is going to always be it depends. It depends on the scenario. Credit is not a one-size-fits-all type of scenario. Okay, so but let me jump into that a little bit. All right, should you pay off an old overdue debt? It depends. If it has gone to collections, you see what I'm saying? And so that makes all the difference in the world. If it has now gone to a debt collector, my recommendation is not to pay it off at first thing. Now, I may still have my clients pay them off, but not as a first resort, because we have to look at a couple of things first. First, we look at the size of the debt. Now, if the debt is, of course, I've seen people with $50 credit accounts, $35 credit accounts, and so if it's just a matter of paying that off, a lot of times paying $35 off can be worth not going through the hassle of the dispute process. Okay. But if it is a collections, let's talk about the law for a minute, Renee. Let's talk about the law. There is a law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act that was put in place in 1971 during the Richard Nixon administration. That says you can challenge anything that is put on your credit report, and the creditor has, and the credit bureaus have the burden of proof to prove it, even if you legitimately owe the debt.
Wow.
You can have things taken off your credit report, even if, yes, it was your mistake. Yes, it is your debt. Yes, you did do it. You can still have certain things taken off your credit report according to the law, because the burden of proof is on the credit bureaus and the original creditor to prove to make sure that the item is verifiable and that it's completely accurate. The Fair Credit Reporting Act says that everything reported on your credit report has to be 100% accurate. So if there's any inaccuracies, if there's any mistakes in the reporting, and 85% of Americans have mistakes on their credit report. The mistakes allow loopholes to have things that can be taken off your credit report, even if you legitimately owe the debt. Now, it does not excuse you from owing the debt, but it can, because we don't, when dealing with credit, we don't address the debt per se, but we can address whether it's stable remains on the credit report or not. And this is very important about the law when it comes to collection. The law says that a collection through a collection agency is not your debt. A lot of people think, well, that's being unethical if I don't pay my bills to the collector. No, it's not, because let me tell you how this really works, and I'll make it very quick. Let's say you have a $250 debt with the phone company, and you don't pay it, and then it gets charged off, and it goes to collection. That $250, the original creditor is no longer looking for payment, because for one, they've written it off on the taxes. Two, they may have even had default insurance that reimbursed them for it. And three, they sold it to a debt collector for pennies on the dollar. So they've been compensated 3 times for that one debt, and they're no longer looking for payment from you from that debt. The original creditor is not. Also, it comes into place like double jeopardy. You've already taken the hit on your credit report. So, it's not the right thing to do to punish someone twice for a crime committed one time or a violation committed one time. So if you've already taken the hit on your credit report, why should you pay something to a third-party collection agency who, one, you don't have a contract with, two, there's never been any exchange of goods or services between you and that collection agency?
Okay, so hold on. Okay, all right.
I know there's a lot to unpack.
So that's the thing, is you, technically speaking, did not have a contract with that collection company. You're not in business with them. You were never in business with them. So that's correct. How that works. Okay, gotcha. Woo,
Renee, how can you owe me if you and I have never had a contract? I've never given you any goods or services or products in exchange for anything. How can you owe me?
Wow. Okay. All right. So, man. All right. So
this is not an ethical argument or a legal argument. This is the law.
And a lot of people just don't know these things. It's in the details, and it makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Is the devil always in those details?
Yes. All the time. Okay, now we did touch on this a little bit about what is the ideal credit mix that lenders look for on your credit report.
All right. Yes, I have no problem elaborating on that. The ideal mix is a mix between good revolving credit and good installment loan credit. Meaning, as well as payment history. They're looking. The biggest thing is payment history. They're looking for, hey, what is your payment history like? Have you paid your bills on time? They're also looking for, do you have a good mix of credit? They don't just want to see all credit cards, and they just don't want to see all loans. They want to see a mixture of credit cards and loans. So that's the second thing that they're looking for. The third thing they want to know is they want to see some age of credit history. They want to see that you credit is your ability to repay your payment commitments over a period of time. They would like to see a period of seasoned, aged time where you have been paying your bills back on time over a period of time. So that's the third thing they look for. Another thing they look for are the amount of hard inquiries that you have on your credit report. Are you constantly applying for new credit? Because if so, it indicates to the lenders you may be in financial trouble, and you're just looking for a bunch of loans to cover that, and they don't necessarily want to put themselves at risk like that. So that can kind of send off a red flag. The number of hard inquiries that you have, you really don't want to have more than 2 to 3 hard inquiries over a 12-month period.
Okay, so let me stop you right there, because there is, like, when people are trying now. Sometimes when you go with some of these companies that, what's one of them? I think it's Credit Karma or whatever like that. And they send you email for you to try to open up new credit cards. They say you've been pre-approved. Open up new credit cards, which will raise your credit score because it'll be as you're open to buy. Your credit utilization will expand, basically. Mm-hmm. So those are going to be hard hits to your credit report, no?
If they conduct a hard inquiry, and so Credit Karma will give you those odds of approval, and you can't always go by that. To me, the best way to do it is you can actually Google this information. You can look on YouTube. There are a number of pre-approval credit cards where they will do a soft pull to approve you first, and then if you get approved and accept the offer, then they'll do a hard pull. That makes sense.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay,
so they will not charge you with the hard inquiry until you accept and approve the offer. But you can get approved with a soft pull. And those types of credit cards, typically you can YouTube or Google that. Just YouTube or Google pre-approval credit cards, soft pull pre-approval credit cards. And if you Google that or YouTube that, you'll see a litany of them.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's definitely good to know. Okay.
Also, let me tell you this. This is worth knowing. There are a lot of credit accounts that you can put on your credit report, positive reporting trade line, with a soft pull only. And I mean, there are a lot of them. Yes. There are, and I'm not affiliated with any of these companies, but there are things like Kickoff.com, Kikoff, no C, Kickoff.com, where you put, they put $12 in your account. You repay it back $1 a month for 12 months, and they report to all 3 bureaus, and it will help you with your score.
Wow.
Yes. So they have things like that. They have things like Self-Lender, I think it's Self.Inc, where you can go and you can actually pay maybe $15, $25 a month, and they'll add an installment loan on your credit report, reporting as long as you're paying it on time every single month. They'll report maybe like a $5,000 credit line on your credit report, maybe a $1,500 credit line, and then at the end of the payment, at the end of the term, they take their fees out, and then they send you your money back.
Interesting. Okay, I've definitely heard of Self-Lender. Kickoff, I've never heard of them, so that's a great one right there. So Kickoff.com and then Self-Lender. So people, Google this, because you can get help with raising your credit score and getting yourself together. Oh wow. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. There's also something called FinTech, which is short for financial technology, that many people need to start becoming aware of. You're going to see a lot of this emerging more and more in the years to come, where they actually can approve you for a credit card without using the credit score at all. What they base it on is your banking history. If you have good banking history with your bank, they can bank the approval based upon the deposit and banking history versus the credit score. And they don't even pull a credit score.
Wow, and what's the name of that one?
That's now the technology is called FinTech. So you can Google FinTech credit card. One company that I know about is called Tomo Credit, Tomo Credit, Tomo Credit. And you can go look at theirs. A lot of times they'll issue you a MasterCard based upon your banking history.
Wow. Okay. This is good stuff. Okay. I'm learning now. I have learned it, and I have come through this whole credit score thing, and oh Lord, it was a disaster when I was getting out of college. It was like I needed the big job when I was getting out because I had so much credit card debt. It was crazy. So it took, close, like you were saying, like almost 10 years. It took me close to 10 years. By the time I was turning 30, and right before I was getting married, that's when all of that stuff started to clear up. But it took time. It took a lot of time. Wow. Okay, so these are, like, most of my audience are entrepreneurs, and these are the sort of things that they need to be aware of, because people just think that becoming an entrepreneur is just so simple, especially if they want to get into, buying homes. Flipping homes is a big thing right now, and people want to do this stuff. And they don't realize that you have to get your literally your house in order before you start to venture out into these different things. So what are some like advice that you can give to like budding entrepreneurs, and like maybe one or two things that helped you in your business journey?
Okay, buckle your seatbelt. It's not going to be long at all, but it's going to be paradigm shifting. Okay.
Okay.
The very first thing I would do, my advice is to get your personal credit in order. Why do I say that? Because that's only phase one. Then as an aspiring entrepreneur, you can move on to phase two, which is establishing business credit. And that is the most important thing that an aspiring entrepreneur can do, because you do not want to fund your business aspirations, fund your company, fund your equipment, fund your startup costs out of your own pockets. You want to use separated business credit to fund your business dreams. Boom.
Yep. I 100% agree with that. And yes, I had to learn that too. Absolutely. Wow.
Yes, Renee. I mean, we have, especially in the African American community, we were not left a large trust fund. I have some business partners of the other persuasion or of other ethnicities. Their grandmother left them $250,000 and to start with, in the will and that type of thing. A lot of us didn't have the type of grandmother. All right, we love our grandmothers now. Grandma could cook now, and Big Mama can provide lots of love. But Big Mama didn't leave no $250,000 trust fund for us. That when we turn 18 or 21, that we could start a business with. So what do? Credit can now become your new rich best friend. Credit becomes your rich uncle. You get your business credit going, because having a dream without funding is a nightmare. Okay, and that is the biggest thing that keeps entrepreneurs from succeeding, is not having capitalization. Capitalization is the number one reason why businesses fail. So what do you want to do about that capitalization? You want to leverage your credit to begin to build business credit that can separate and detach from your personal credit. So when you are starting to purchase, and it's a process, it's not an overnight deal, it is a process, but you have to be patient, and you want to build it correctly. And so once you do that, you can, if you need to buy equipment, you want to buy equipment out of your business credit, not your personal savings. You want to, if you want to buy real estate, if you want to rehab homes, if you want to purchase business vehicles, you want to do that with your business credit and not your personal funds.
Yep.
So and that's one of the things we do at Credit Wealth Pro. We help businesses structure or fund. They need to record this term, write it down, put it in quotations, underline it, and highlight it. Fundability. We help businesses structure for fundability, meaning the ability to receive funding from lenders and credit extenders.
Okay. All right. So since we're still on this, talking about entrepreneurship and finances and all of that, tell me, because how we have learned to meet each other through the Black Biz Foundation. Now, on a previous podcast, I talked a little bit about the Black Biz Foundation. Tell me your role with the Black Biz Foundation and how it ties into this with entrepreneurs, small businesses.
Absolutely. Okay. My role with Black Biz, I'm one of the co-founders, and my official title is CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and VP of Finance. Vice President of Finance. So what I do with that, I handle a lot of the financial, revenue, and capital matters of the Black Biz Capital Division. So one of Black Business core tenets is to help businesses, whether it's startup, small business, medium-sized business, or large businesses. One of our tenets is to help those businesses get funding or get qualified for funding. So how we would help a startup or a small business, Black Biz will give them the proper business education to be able to set up their business properly and structure for funding. There's things they have to know, like how to set up an LLC, an S corporation, or a C corporation, which one they should do. The difference between an LLC holding company and the difference between a corporation, to where they may want to separate in the tax structure, how they're taxed. Getting an EIN, a tax ID number, getting a Dun and Bradstreet number, getting a proper website, a proper phone number, because you don't want to just use your home phone or just even also your cell phone. You may want to get a business phone that can be listed in the 411 directory. You want to get a professional website, a professional email. A lot of us use Gmail for business, and that's okay starting off. But you want to get a professional domain to where you can actually, when people look you up or when people have to email you, they're not emailing you at xybusiness@gmail.com. They're emailing you at your name at xybusiness.com. You see what I'm saying? And so having that, and then structuring for fundability and that type of thing. So those are the things that we do at Black Biz to help Black-owned businesses succeed, get funding, and also connect and network with other Black entrepreneurs and things to maybe team up and do some joint ventures and to grab some larger contracts. You may have one business that may have a strength in one area and a weakness in the other area. Then you may have another business that may have a weakness in one area and a strength in the area that the other business has a weakness in. If those businesses can network, join together, come together in joint venture, then maybe they can go after larger contracts too. So we also help with that as well.
Collaboration over competition, and I think that is an amazing thing. That's an amazing thing, and so very needed in the Black community as well. So tell me about this event that's coming up at the end of the month. We're in Black History Month, and there's like this great event that's coming February 27th. Tell us a little bit about that.
All right, I would love to. We are so excited to be sponsoring our event called CEO Fire Chat. Okay, CEO Fire Chat featuring Black women CEOs of excellence. Okay, it's going to be a powerhouse panel of Black women CEOs. It's going to take place Saturday, February 27th, 2021, from 3 to 6 p.m. All right, and the virtual doors are going to open at 2:30. Our keynote speaker, we're so excited to have Janine McClain Williams. She is the president of MBK Entertainment. She is the current manager of the artist that we know as Her, and she also is the former manager of Alicia Keys for over 14 years. And so she's the president of MBK Entertainment, and she's also the CEO of Mainstream Marketing Incorporated, and she's going to be with us as our keynote speaker. We're also going to have a panel a secondary panel of rising stars, Black women entrepreneurs and CEOs that are going to be sitting in a panel just chopping it up about things that deal with the challenges, the strengths, and the just the hurdles that you have to overcome in being a CEO as a Black woman, and how to make that Black girl magic really flow and really dominate the marketplace. All right, and oh my gosh, we're so excited about our after party. We're going to be having an after party with our special guest entertainment is DJ Spinderella, formerly of Salt and Pepper. All right, and so if you know about Salt and Pepper, you definitely know about Spinderella, and she's going to be on the one or two spinning during our event. And so we're so gracious to have that. Can I tell them where they can register?
Oh yes, please.
All right, okay. You can go to Eventbrite, or actually, let me tell you our link. Our link is www.blackbizglobal.eventbrite.com, and I'll spell some of that. Black Biz is spelled BLACKBIZ global.eventbrite.com. So you can go to that link directly, and we're asking for a donation of just $5.99 to the Black Biz Foundation. That's all we're asking for. Less than a Chick-fil-A meal, Renee. All right, so for less than a Chick-fil-A combo meal, all right. I don't even know if you can get the 12 nuggets by itself for $5.99. All right, So for less than a combo meal at Chick-fil-A, we're asking for a donation, in the form of a ticket to come to this event where black women CEOs can come together and vibe and network and hear from some of the ones who made it in the industry and join together, and they can network with other black women CEOs.
It's going to be amazing. Can't wait. Yep. Absolutely can't wait. Okay, we talked all this business stuff, so let's take it down a little bit. What do you like to do in your spare time? Hobbies, something we may not know about you, something unusual maybe that you do that people will be like, really? Shocked.
Okay. Spare time, what's that, first of all? I know what you mean. I'm just messing. Okay. I am, in my personal life, I am a dance dad. What does that mean? My wife and I own a dance studio. Why? Because I have two daughters, 13 and 9, that dance competitively.
Wow.
So after a few studios in our local area have closed down, we decided to open a studio so my daughter and all their friends and their dance team and things can continue dancing. So my wife and I own a competitive dance studio called Velocity Dance Studio. So I'm what they call a prop dad or dance dad. So I help, I don't have any sons, so I'm not at the basketball games or not the football games. I'm at the dance competition. And I'm help setting up props for dancing, props for the production, and writing a lot of checks for uniforms, dance uniforms, and that type of thing. The dads have to haul and transport the large props and things like that. So I'm a dance dad. And I'm also, other people may not know about me, I'm also a full-time pastor as well. My wife and I, we pastor a church here in Chattanooga, Tennessee called Pneuma Church, P-N-E-U-M-A, Pneuma Church. And I'm a non-denominational Christian pastor as well.
Wow. Now, the pastor part I knew, but the dance studio, I had no idea about that. So that is very interesting.
And I can't dance, Renee. I do not. I cannot dance, and I don't even try. I don't try to, but my daughter can dance very good.
Wow, listen, thank you so much, Ivan, for sharing all this wealth of knowledge that you have. Folks, this was Ivan Brown, the Credit Wealth Pro. Tell us where we can find you on social media.
Okay, absolutely. You can find me on Facebook under Ivan Brown. And also my handle is on Instagram is at Credit Wealth Pro. All right. It used to be Increase with Ivan. It's now at Credit Wealth Pro. You can find me on Instagram. Under that, just look for me at Ivan Brown. You'll find me at Credit Wealth Pro. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can also email me. And I talk a lot of smack about the business address, but my favorite email is a Gmail. My quickest email is DominionFinancialUSA@gmail.com. Again, that's DominionFinancialUSA@gmail.com. You can email me there and schedule a free consultation, and I'll be glad to do a free 15-minute credit consultation with anybody that wants it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, folks. Again, we are going to keep this Elevation Entrepreneur series going. We thank Ivan for coming through and giving us such great information. If you want to find us on the web, it's at Onyx Queen Media on everything, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you want to email me, feel free to email me. And keep bringing your questions to me because I'm answering emails and I'm turning them into podcasts. So info@onyxqueenmedia.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. Talk to you next week. Bye.